who was not only an eyewitness but a victim to some small degree, gratefully, of that explosion last night. 4 young men who had a moment of great triumph last night, winning a gold medal in the 4x100 medley in swimming, are with us now. And then they awakened this morning, or in the middle of the night, I suppose someone must have told you what happened. Jeff Rouse, let's begin with you. When did you hear about this?
We heard about it about 1:30 last night. Most of us were actually out celebrating a great week of swimming, and we all got pages to meet back as soon as possible. We had heard that there was an explosion of some sort. We weren't sure what it was, and we just...
Jeff, we're just going to keep on talking, but we're just going to tell everybody that the Olympic flags are being lowered to the half staff at the Olympic Stadium, even as we talk here. That's not the kind of thing that we wanted to see in Atlanta, is it?
No, it's really not. It's disturbing that this kind of thing could happen here in Atlanta, and I don't understand the type of person that would do this type of thing. It's unbelievable, and it really dampens I think the Olympic spirit that we work so hard to compete with and to uphold.
Jeremy, what were you told when you got back to where the swimming people were?
We had heard several different things, stories before we had gotten back, but we finally heard that it was a pipe bomb that had exploded. And we were concerned about a couple of friends that we hadn't heard where they were, where their whereabouts or anything, and we knew they were in the area of where it had exploded, so we were a little concerned this morning.
Mark Henderson, you know, to compete at the levels that you guys do takes an enormous amount of mental concentration. I know that you must be very grateful that your events are over at this point, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a damper on this whole thing, and we've been dreaming our whole lives about this one moment. You know, last night we broke the world record, won the gold medal, and ended the swimming venue with a big bang, but all this comes down about a couple hours later, and here we are calling our parents, worried, and searching for our friends and making sure everybody that we know about's okay, and so it's been a big damper on the whole night.
Eric Wonderlich, the other athletes that you've talked to who still have to compete, have you had a chance to chat with them at all about their attitudes and what their feelings are?
We saw a couple on the street on the way over here this morning, and a lot of the guys hadn't even known about it. The guys were just waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and when we informed them what had happened over the course of the early morning hours, they're pretty shaken up about it. And I think as the news gets out more and more during the day today, that I think a lot more people are going to be a little more disturbed about it and pretty much realize exactly what Jeff said about how someone could do something like this at an event like this in our country. It's pretty disturbing. It's
kind of double jeopardy for you because you're from the city.
Yeah, it's the city's put on such a great show the first week, and my teammates have put on an equally great show for the hometown fans that I've come to love over the past week, and it does definitely put a damper on it. It's disturbing.
Jeff Rouse, those athletes who have to go out there today and compete, it's almost impossible, I would think at least, to completely remove this from your mind.
Yeah, it'll be hard, but once you get to this level, I think we learn to deal with a lot of outside distractions that we have to put behind us and compete. And I don't envy the athletes that have to compete today, but they'll find a way to put this behind them and maybe even use it to continue move the Olympic movement forward. And it'll be a true test of the Olympic spirit here in Atlanta. I think the athletes will put it behind them and show it.
I gather you all agree that the right decision was made to go forward with the games.
I totally agree.
So, yeah.
And the athletes that you've talked to felt that way this morning as well, by and large.
Mm-hmm.
Will you stay now, or will you go home?
That's what my mom asked me.
Mothers are always like that.
I know.
That's true.
I bet she didn't ask you, she said, Jeff, why don't you come home, probably.
It was put that way. I think we're planning on staying unless something else happens.
Good. Important to show a sign of solidarity in a way?
Definitely.
Do you have some doubts?
I don't know. I think everybody's going to deal with this pretty well, and I think everything's going to go okay now.
I think the security inside the village has been really tight. There's no worries inside the village, so
yeah.
This has happened a little bit on the outside where there was not such tight security.
Well, we want you all to know that as traumatic as this was and as wounding as it was to all concerned, it does not in any way take away from that extraordinary moment that you had last night when, in fact, you broke the world record and won the gold. Congratulations to all of you. And give our best to the other athletes as well.
Yes, thank you.
Alexander and Charles Barkley has been detained. They would not let his car get back to the Omni Hotel, and we happened to come into Charles going into the city. Charles, obviously you were out when this blast occurred. However, you've spoken to several people back at the hotel. What are their thoughts and yours?
Well, I think everybody, number one, is concerned. It's just crazy. That would be a good word. Number one, because it happened so close to the hotel. I mean, it happened directly across the street from the hotel. I feel bad for the people who got killed, bad for the people who are injured. But it's something that we thought about coming into the Olympics, but not something we thought would happen. I mean, obviously security around our team is unbelievable, but I just feel bad right now.
Now, you have literally spent hours trying to get back to the hotel. The area is cordoned off.
You know what? We just got, the police are doing their job, and they got a very difficult job. But, they got to be like that. That's just the way it is right now. And I just, like I say, I don't care about getting detained. That's not a big deal to me. I just feel bad for all the families involved.
Now, we had heard from Rod Thorne, and we talked to Rod, that it was his impression that all of you on the Dream Team would remain. Of course, that is subject to change, but it was his impression that all of you would remain. Are you getting that same feeling, and will everybody stay and continue?
Jim, I think right now, to leave, we let them assholes win. Anybody who would do something like this, number one, the Olympics are probably the greatest sporting event in the world, and we're very fortunate to be a part of it. But to let whoever did this get away with it and cancel the games, I mean, that would be absurd. Just for the people who passed away and their families, the Olympic Games have to continue, from my perspective, and I'm only speaking for myself.
Are you scared? Are you concerned? Nervous?
I think that everything in life happened. That's just the way it was supposed to happen. Whether it's right or wrong, when people get killed or pass away, that's just the way life was meant to be. I think our destiny is predetermined when we're born. You feel bad for everybody involved, but that's just the way it was supposed to be.
But are you scared?
Am I scared? No, I'm not scared myself. I mean, because whatever is supposed to happen to me, that's just the way it's supposed to be.
Charles, thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome.
Well, that's the story from here on Alexander and Peachtree. Let's send it back to the Today Show.
Now to the Atlanta Olympic Stadium, where they're beginning to lay out the hurdles for the decathlon, and we're going to be seeing there this morning some of America's most celebrated athletes. Jackie Joyner-Kersee is going to be competing today. They're getting the hurdles aligned there on that very modern track, expected to be very fast, and everyone hopes that there will be some world and Olympic records set. But of course, the overlay today will be what happened in Centennial Park. But it does appear that a lot of the workers are on the grounds at the Atlanta Olympic Stadium this morning, getting ready for the events that will begin at about 9:30. As I remember, they run all day long. This is really the beginning of track and field preliminary events last night in the long distance running, the finals in the shot put. Then today we'll have the decathlon. Those are some of the entrances now. This is where the athletes will be coming in. The participants come in one area, and then of course the audience will come in another area. This is the flag, the Olympic flag, which is flying at half staff. That decision made in the middle of the night by both International Olympic Committee members and members of the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games. And there will be a moment of silence before each event begins today. Let's go to NBC's Matt Lauer, who is at the Olympic Village, where athletes were awakened, some of them in the middle of the night, and then some woke this morning to hear what had happened. Athletes coming and going there now, Matt?
Yeah, they are coming and going. A lot of them, I'm not sure, really know what has happened yet, Tom. They haven't been told. They're more concerned with getting to their venues and participating in their events. One thing I want to talk about is what Roger O'Neill just mentioned about the lessening of security here over the last week. There has been kind of a running story going on amongst people we work with that if you get to one of these security checkpoints and possibly don't have exactly the right credential to get through that particular checkpoint, that if you have maybe one of those pins, those trading pins that people are handing back and forth throughout these Olympic Games, and you have a desirable one, it can be something as simple as that. You hand a right pin and you can be let through those gates, which has worried a lot of people here. Something else Roger mentioned, that maybe they're getting used to us. You have to keep in mind we're a week into this major security event, and the same security people man the same gates day after day, and in a lot of cases see the same faces going in and out. So oftentimes you exchange pleasantries with those people, you get to know them on a first-name basis, and they do tend to let you by. But I will tell you that this morning here at the Olympic Village, things have changed dramatically. As a matter of fact, when members of the Today Show technical crew came in this morning at 2 o'clock, just about a half an hour after the bomb exploded in Centennial Park, normally they can hold up their credentials and they're let right in. But the members of our crew this morning who arrived at 2 o'clock were literally lined up. They were frisked, they were searched, the bags they were carrying were searched. So obviously there is a much more serious tack being taken here. Obviously I also have to tell you that the Olympic flag was just lowered here a few minutes ago. And if I can make one other point, Tom, before I throw it back to you, if it's possible to show that tape of the concert as that bomb went off, I want to point something out to you in the corner of that screen, because many of the affiliates, the NBC stations, have been broadcasting live from Centennial Park. If you look just below stage level, those windows that you see are actually studios. Now, I have been broadcasting every day at 5 o'clock for WNBC in New York from the studio just to the stage left of where you see the center of the stage. 50 yards, our back's 50 yards from where this explosion went off this morning. One of the things that occurred to me immediately when I heard the blast had taken place there was, this place at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm sure during this concert, is literally jammed with people. As a matter of fact, it's so crowded at 5 in the afternoon that it takes us sometimes 10 minutes to get to the exit, which is only 100 yards away. It's amazing to me that more people weren't hurt in a panic stampede trying to get through what is a very narrow exit at that corner of Centennial Park. It tends to make me think that the response by security personnel and law enforcement personnel was efficient and very appropriate, because it could have been a lot worse.
Back 50 feet with that kind of a crude bomb, there could have been so many more deaths and obviously more critical injuries. At the Olympic Stadium right now is NBC's Len Cannon. They are getting ready to run some track and field events. And Len, are people beginning to come into the stadium?
Because of the heightened security here at the stadium, they are preparing for track and field events scheduled to begin in a little more than an hour. But the lines are a little bit longer outside. The ACOG security people had a meeting this morning, I am told, and in that meeting they were given words like heightened awareness, be more secure, be more watchful. For us to get into the stadium, a little bit more difficult than when I came here a couple of days ago. The venues have been secure for the most part. However, this time I noticed this morning they were checking bags much tighter, going through things much stronger, and it took us longer to get in. They go through all of the bags. They check automobiles that come in terms of people who are coming to work here. They're sanitizing the vehicles, checking for bombs. That's something that's always been going on. But this morning, it took a little bit longer because there is more watch going on in terms of what they're looking for.
What about the people?
This is a police officer with a badge covered with black tape, obviously in memory of those who died in the blast. This is park security, I am told. And there is obviously a heightened security today here at the Olympic Stadium. The flags, every other flag, the Olympic ring flags are flying at half-staff today, as the IOC recommended in its overnight news conference that they would be. And that is what you're looking at right now. The Olympic flag with the rings flying at half-staff, every other one surrounding the stadium. I am told that the events so far of all the athletes, no one has decided to not race today. That's been a discussion. How difficult would it be for these athletes to compete at the ultimate level given the circumstances? We're going to have the heptathlon 100 meters starting at about 9:30, or the hurdles, I'm told. At about 9:15, the women's heptathlon 100-meter hurdles are going to start. I am told that all the athletes will be arriving very shortly, and we hope to get some comments from them to find out how they feel about competing on a day like today, because as you heard the IOC say, the games will go on. And in fact, here it will start in about 1 hour. Tom?
Thank you, Len Cannon. And today as well,